Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're immersing ourselves in some source material that's all about language. Specifically, three really powerful words.
That's right.
Words that help us talk about one of the most fundamental human needs, the desire for comfort, for peace, and, that deep, settled feeling of being home.
And this isn't just going to be a vocabulary lesson. Our whole mission here is to take these linguistic tools, these three specific words, and really pull out the crucial nuances.
The origins, too, right? Some of them are pretty surprising.
The origins, the real-world applications, exactly. We want to arm you with language that, well, that works as a shortcut for describing tranquility and relief in a way that, simple synonyms just can't.
Okay, so the core of our deep dive today centers on three concepts that kept coming up in the analysis we looked at: Halcyon, Comity, and Respite.
They sound a bit lofty, maybe a little academic.
They do, but they describe really essential parts of our lives. So we're going to unpack the specific weight each one of these words carries and show you how to use them to define your world more effectively.
Yeah, these words capture really distinct forms of peace. You've got peace rooted in memory, peace we get through society, and peace we find in just, necessary rest.
Yeah.
So let's start by looking backward.
Let's do it. Let's start with a word that really anchors us to the most ideal version of our past: Halcyon. That's Halcyon. We hear it used all the time as just like a fancy synonym for the good old days, but the analysis we have stresses that it's much more specific than that. It's an adjective that defines a time that was idyllically happy and peaceful.
And it is absolutely critical to focus on that idyllically peaceful part. When you describe a time as halcyon, you aren't just, reminiscing.
Right.
You are making a very specific claim that the period was defined by tranquil, undisturbed happiness. Think about the difference between calling your youth, say, nostalgic, versus calling it halcyon.
Oh, that's interesting.
Nostalgia can be sentimental, right? It's often bittersweet, colored by what you know now, or even a little bit of sadness. Halcyon memories are pure. They have this stillness, a perfection to them that sets them apart from memories of just, exciting or chaotic fun.
So it's separating the quiet satisfaction of a perfect sun-drenched day from the, let's say, the high-energy chaos of a big family vacation to a theme park.
Exactly. It's total tranquility versus controlled fun. And that sense of deep stillness is the core insight here. It's actually baked right into the word's origin.
I love this part. It's such a beautiful linguistic story.
It really is. I mean, if you dive into the history, the meaning is tied directly to the mythological halcyon bird from Greek legend.
Right, the one that built its nest on the sea.
On the surface of the sea during the winter solstice. And the gods, out of reverence for the bird, would calm the turbulent seas just for its sake, just during this breeding period. And that period was known as the Halcyon days.
That is fantastic context. So it means that when you talk about a halcyon period, you're basically saying that during that time, life's storms were just held back.
Held back just for you.
It signifies a golden stretch of perfect calm and, rightness.
Exactly. It elevates the word beyond a simple description into a feeling of genuine, sheltered safety. You think about the common examples, right? A childhood far away from adult worries, a perfect academic sabbatical.
Or maybe a year spent traveling where every day just felt easy.
Yes. The common denominator in all of them is the absence of turbulence.
And the analysis we have gives us that powerful illustration. It says the power of the word really comes from the contrast it creates. If you're sitting in the middle of a brutal winter storm, you're overwhelmed by work and noise, and you dream of the halcyon days of August spent by the quiet lake. That does more than just remind you of summer.
So much more. It pulls you back to a time when you felt completely anchored, undisturbed. It defines a past benchmark of emotional and psychological ease. It's a way to contextualize the struggle of the present, reminding you what pure tranquility feels like.
A word for drawing strength from a perfect memory.
That's it.
That's a lovely thought. So that's internal peace from the past. Let's transition from that to how we maintain peace externally, in our communities with other people.
Which brings us to our second word.
It does. Our second word, comity, spelled C-O-M-I-T-Y.
And comity is a noun. It's defined as an atmosphere of social harmony, or the polite and considerate behavior between people or nations. And this is where the nuance is really, really essential.
Because it's not just friendship.
Exactly. A lot of people confuse comedy with just being friends or, general civility.
But comedy feels much more deliberate, doesn't it? Like if civility is just The baseline of not being rude, comedy seems to be the active effort to make sure mutual respect is the foundation, even when there's no personal warmth there.
Precisely. The material we looked at stresses that comedy is defined by mutual courtesy and mutual respect. They are intentionally used to create a peaceful and, importantly, a functional environment for everyone.
Functional. That feels key.
It is. It's the professional, civil application of respect that you give even if you don't really like the person or agree with them. It is, as the source material put it, the essential social glue.
That distinction, respect without requiring agreement, that is so critical in a diverse society. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see comedy on these huge scales.
Like the comedy of nations.
Yeah, we hear that term.
Yeah.
It refers to that diplomatic respect that allows countries with totally different interests to just talk to each other, to conduct business without it all breaking down into conflict constantly.
And then if you shrink that scale all the way down, comedy is just as vital in, say, a shared workplace or a neighborhood. It's what keeps an office productive when people have radically different political views, but still manage to treat each other with genuine day-to-day respect. Comedy is that acknowledgement that we have to prioritize the shared space and function over our personal friction.
But I guess a question that comes up is, if comedy is just mutual respect, isn't that sort of the bare minimum? Why do we need a special word? Why not just say, I don't know, tolerance?
That's a great question, because tolerance often implies you're just enduring something you dislike.
Right. Gritting your teeth.
Exactly. Comedy implies an active, reciprocal effort toward a positive interaction. It's not just putting up with difference, it's courteously engaging despite the difference. The analysis shows that comedy is necessary because it enables constructive cooperation. Just look at the example sentence. The mayor praised the sense of comedy in the town, noting how different groups work together to rebuild the community center.
That sentence really shows its practical power. You can't rebuild a community center if all the different groups are, just sniping at each other over old arguments or different beliefs.
You can't. Comedy demands that you temporarily set that stuff aside and agree on the shared goal of getting something done. It's the groundwork for any effective group effort. Without that intentional politeness, group efforts just dissolve into personal conflict and nothing gets done.
So it's the peace we actively build between ourselves.
It is. It's a proactive choice.
Okay, so we talked about internal peace from the Halcyon past and external peace built through comedy. That brings us to our third and final word, which addresses, I think, the most immediate and necessary form of peace.
Yes. Respite. R-E-S-P-I-T.
In a world of just constant everything, constant
Right.
stimulation, constant obligation, respite is a word that feels like it's getting more and more relevant.
I could not agree more. It's defined as a short period of rest or relief from something difficult or unpleasant. The reason this word is so vital is that it formalizes the necessity of just stopping.
Yeah, and we often mix up rest with solution. But respite is something very different. The sources highlight that it's the necessary breathing room, that temporary sanctuary from the constant pressure of work or emotional strain or whatever it is.
It's the acknowledgement that you are running a marathon, not a sprint, and you desperately need a water break. The stress might still be there, the big deadline is still looming. Respite doesn't solve the problem.
Not at all.
But that temporary relief provides functional restoration, the strength you need to keep going. It's a vital refill, a momentary pause, not a permanent fix.
And the power of the word is that it defines that specific kind of break.
Yeah.
A long vacation might change your whole perspective, but respite is immediate. It's essential. I like how the analysis grounds it in the physical world to make the idea so relatable.
Oh, the examples are perfect. It's the 10-minute walk you take after a really stressful meeting, just to clear your head.
I do that all the time.
Or maybe taking a weekend away after a grueling month of work has completely drained you. It's restorative, immediate relief that lets you collect yourself before you have to go back into the fray. It's that deep sigh you take when you finally sit down.
That physical necessity is hammered home by the example they gave. The cool shade of the porch provided a welcome respite from the sweltering afternoon heat.
Yes, the heat wave isn't over.
Yo.
But the cool shade makes that immediate moment bearable. And that sentence shows that respite is often a physiological necessity, not just, a psychological preference. If you don't step into the shade, you risk collapse.
Right.
It's the physical relief that allows the mind and body to reset, making the return to the difficulty sustainable, maybe even more effective. Respite is the mechanism that prevents burnout. It's the temporary boundary you draw between yourself and just overwhelming difficulty.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into these three incredibly useful words. They really are linguistic tools that let us define and understand peace and comfort across different scales.
Let's do a quick summary of their core power, just to make sure you have the key takeaway for each. So, Halcyon.
Right.
That refers to the calm, happy, peaceful days of the past. A specific, tranquil memory to anchor yourself to when the present feels stormy.
And comedy. That's the essential social harmony, the mutual politeness we need to make our communities and teams actually function. It's about that formal, constructive respect that goes beyond personal differences.
And finally, respite. That short, much-needed break, that temporary sanctuary from difficulty, that's so essential because it gives us the restored strength to keep going without actually having to solve the underlying problem right then and there.
What's really remarkable is how they all connect back to this fundamental human pursuit of tranquility. They help you articulate where and when you find balance, whether that's by, looking back, looking outward, or just looking for an immediate break.
And if you walk away with one key realization today, I hope it's this. These words don't just describe peace, they help define the conditions for peace. They help you notice when you have it, when you need to seek it, and when you need to intentionally create it.
So what does this all mean for you right now? Thinking specifically about the functional necessity of respite, that idea that a temporary break is what makes a long-term effort sustainable, consider this question as you move forward. What specific recurring effort in your life, whether it's work, a major family obligation, or a difficult personal goal, would become completely unsustainable if you did not find a dedicated, temporary sanctuary or moment of respite for yourself? Think about where that critical breathing room exists for you and how actively you need to protect it to ensure your long-term success. We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.